Okay, I think we are on. This thing is working. Right, this is how we run TCOS. So, on the top hand side of the screen is the last TCOS update that we actually did before the new year, so we haven't done one yet this year. We basically just take a look at the models, the GFS mainly, to see what's going on all around the world, and then we construct TCOS based on what it throws up. And there's obviously a lot of uncertainty about storms that are about to form, so we take a look at those and maybe some extra models and some ensemble runs as well, and then we eventually round upon our decision. So you look at the Atlantic. Let's get to the latest run, 6C January 2nd. Right, so the Atlantic hopefully will not throw up anything. Let's have a little look, and I'll provide my commentary here on this short little stream that I'm doing. Look at that. Up there in the northern part of the Atlantic, a 926 millibar extratropical low. That is pretty impressive. Shooting up northwards there between Iceland and Greenland. Strong winds there as well. Obviously not something that we put on TCOS, but interesting to look at. Long range Atlantic, a nor'easter there, high pressure, nothing forms obviously, which is good to see. So Eastern Pacific, we look along here, let's see, nothing at all the way through hour 210. We usually only look at the next 6 days, maybe 7 at a push sometimes, but usually 5 to 6 days. Central Pacific, which at the end of December had rumblings of a cyclone, but it never got anywhere near tropical. We look on here, over that period, nothing at all. High pressure dominating towards the end. Western Pacific, let's have a look again. In fact, look, you can see there that system on the right hand side. Something there. I assume that is nowhere near tropical, but let's have a look at, say, the simulated satellite. You can see how that looks there. Yep. Nowhere near tropical or subtropical. Little thing there, little low pressure in the South China Sea on hour 60. That almost getting me tempted to give a 10%. But there you can see on the simulated satellite, clearly a tropical system trying to develop there. So that's actually quite interesting. I'm going to give that 10% because there could be a small chance on that, and I do say very small. I think it's enough to give 10%. So, how do we do TCOS? We start with the letter, which is A, because it's the first system of the month, and 1 for the month, which is obviously 1. And then I've got to do some special coding, yada yada. Just type in all of this stuff to have it read out the new A1. There it is. Located initially will be not a future system located at 8 north 111 east, not a TS obviously. 10%, perhaps generous, not sure. I think that's right. No wind and pressure data because it's a future system that hasn't formed yet, and we'll just make it a little bit transparent there so that it quite clearly shows a future system. TCOS points are going to be very low. In fact, it's 2 at the moment. So you look at the rest of the Western Pacific there, and you can see this little thing blowing up in short range Interested to look at simulated satellite on that one as well. Yeah, interesting extratropical system. Bit of a bomb blowing up, 963. And off it goes. So that's the Westpac. Indian Ocean, have a little look at this. Obviously we'll change Seth when we get to it. Indian Ocean, there's that low pressure that mingles there for some time, but that seems to always be the case in the southern hemisphere summers. You know, quiet, really quiet there. I mean, this is January now. Southwest Indian Ocean usually spits out quite a few storms, but nothing at all. Now then, looking towards Seth, which quite clearly showing that it's still got TS winds on the model. But let me have a look to see if what the observations are saying in Australia right now, to see if we can get a better indication. And I always forget how to find those. Nope, I want the map. Do. Oh, I can't remember how to find the map. Oh, there it is. Yeah, let's have a look at some of these islands. Wind speeds, barely TS. Looking at that position there, it's there aren't actually any areas really that are going to be inside those purported TS winds actually. So that makes life a bit more difficult. Yeah, there's really nothing that gives away the... But given that the wind speeds on the New South Wales coast are about 30 miles per hour, over 30 miles per hour, which is more than what the model is currently suggesting, I'm pretty happy to consider that it's a fair representation on that GFS run. So that's 50 miles an hour and a pressure of 986. Current position 28 south now, just. We round things up, and 158 east. Now, doesn't look like a TS when you look at any satellite imagery. In fact, I'm going to just have to have a look. It's quite clearly not a TS, and it's not a TD, obviously, and so it's going to have to be a remnant low. Even though it's at 50 miles per hour. And then it dies off pretty quickly, although it's still traceable when it reaches the coast near Brisbane at hour 102. And then look at that comes in behind it. Oh my goodness. That's late on the model run, but that's still 8-9 days. 934 millibars just south of Vanuatu. Where's its origin? Its origin sort of comes from this massive area here, which must be visible on satellite. See what kind of a system it is. Over, generally over the Fiji region. Satellite not loading on my other screen. Yes, there's a big front there right now and converging with some weak thunderstorms, and eventually it just all consolidates and becomes a system further north, and it would have to be further north for that to occur. So we'll mark down the initial position at, and this is going to be B1, So hopefully people understand that coding. And we use that, or I use that, because you know, we've got invest numbers, and we just want a consistent worldwide system, because obviously these aren't invests as far as I know, or some of them aren't sometimes. So we do that. B1, and that would be 12 south, 177 east, and that's at hour 78. So given how strong that is, let's check ensembles. How confident are they? Fairly, not as confident as I'd like. So currently we'll give that a 20%, but that's going to rise by the looks of things. But we know how flip-floppy the GFS model can be sometimes. Let's check that previous run. 965 to 948. Remember before that 982. So it's something that's built in pretty recently. We'll have to keep monitoring. But as it stands, that's a Vanuatu landfall on day 6 with a strength of, well, 968. So that'll be high-end Cat 1 getting into Category 2 by that point. So we'll say 100 miles an hour. Top intensity could be 155-ish. So that gives it lots and lots of points. But at the moment, not worthy of code blue. Forgot to change Seth, of course. Let's have a look at that now. So its current intensity still gives it 4s, and then landfall on day 5. Those points have dropped, you can see there quite clearly, to 17. So that's good. That will put us into unclassified at this rate. Also, there is another system that forms in the Coral Sea. In fact, it just starts to form over the Cape York Peninsula right at the end of the 5-day period. It's first traceable there, so we're going to include that as well. So that's C1. And that will be at 11 south, 142 east, 10%. And its first landfall would be in Australia. So I'll instantly give it quite a few points. Forecast landfall would be very weak, not even well, maybe a TC by that point there. Obviously this is speculative. So yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Right, South Pacific, Southeast Pacific, usually quiet, but you never know sometimes. Yep, very quiet there. Just check something back over there. There's that little thing there as well, but that's way off the run. Is that what we were looking at just then? I think it was. No, that thing there. That's current right now. That's obviously not a tropical system. Okay. Because it can be crazy sometimes, I have a quick look usually at the South Atlantic. Yep. I mean, that might be designated by Marina because they'll designate anything. And a quick look at the Mediterranean whilst we're having a bit of fun. Looking straight down there, nothing at all, but look towards the Atlantic side, all of those windstorms blowing through. Very windy period, looks like, for Northern Europe. Wow. And that is how TCOS is made. Unclassified, we think, although we have to factor in demand on Force 13. So that will bump up the numbers slightly, but nowhere near code blue anyway. Unclassified, that will be for 11 o'clock January 2nd. And that pretty much is that. So hope you've enjoyed that. And that is TCOS. So there we go, and I will now be signing off. I'll be back again tomorrow with the all-reliant TCOS update, which will commence at 10:30 AM UTC as always.